guys, Rom Guruji here, back with another video, and today we are talking about the iQOO 3 again. And the reason why we are doing this is right now it's available for very cheap, about 25,000 on Flipkart. Why? Because iQOO is also going to introduce some new phones in the market. So should you buy this? Because I've been receiving a lot of comments, messages, calls from people asking me whether they should buy this phone. And the reason why I'm receiving it is because I'm considered somewhat of an iQOO expert, being the only guy who makes a lot of videos on it, right? So this is my full and final 2021 in-depth review for this phone. So let's get started. So guys, let's first talk about the build quality of the phone. The build quality of the phone is pretty solid. It is a metal and glass sandwich, which is basically a really good thing. The only thing that you might get to notice when you first hold the phone is the fact that it's not lightweight. It's almost 200 grams, which is like really heavy. Okay, it's really heavy to hold in your hand, so you are going to feel that heft. Another thing, when you're talking about the build quality, you have to talk about things that other people don't provide. And in this case, it's the Monster Touch buttons that you use for gaming and the amazing, the beautiful, the 3.5mm headphone jack. So this is something that really stands out for this phone, right? The color is nice, but a lot of companies have been providing this. On the front, the thing that you'll notice in the build quality is the punch hole display. The punch hole display actually looks very nice. Now, the camera bump on the back is, well, very slight. It's not that big, so your phone will wobble a little, but not all that much. Now, when you talk about the sides, you have the volume rockers and the power button and the two Monster Touch buttons here. This is on the right side, and on the left side you have an AI button, which basically is a dedicated button to call your assistant, which doesn't really work well because you have an option of choosing between the Jovi Assistant, which is Vivo's assistant, or Google Assistant, right? With that, there is a small earphone here on top and a bottom firing speaker, SIM ejector tool at the bottom, and a Type-C port, which can be charged using this very weird pill-shaped cable, right? And this is the 65-watt charger. The charger is not here, I have put it somewhere else, right? So it's a 65-watt charger, really fast, really good to work, right? Now we have the build quality out of the way. Let's talk about the battery of the phone. So when I first bought the phone, the battery was amazing. It lasted me 1.5 days. But with each and every update, the battery has been deteriorating, and now I charge my phone twice a day. So yes, you can top up the phone really fast. The 55-watt charging really works very well and very fast. But then again, the drop is equally faster, right? But the battery is not that bad. If you use it cautiously and don't use it crazily like me, you will get a whole day out of it, right? So that was the battery. Let's talk about the call quality and clarity. Earlier, iQOO 3 did have a call problem where you did not get calls properly, you could not receive the calls very well. But now that problem has disappeared, it has been fixed, so the call quality has no problem. All the SIMs work very well, and 4G speeds are really good, so you don't have to worry about it since it does have the latest modem from Snapdragon, right? Now with that out of the way, let's talk about software. So currently this phone is running Android 11, and on Android 11 is the iQOO skin called the iQOO UI or Monster UI, whatever you want to call it, and it's absolutely pathetic, right? So let's be honest, it is not exactly stock, it is not exactly Vivo's Frontier choice, it's stuck somewhere in the middle. With the Android 11 update, you haven't received a lot of Android 11 features, which is very weird because you've received the update, right? So a company has been derelicting a little there on that side, and the software was very laggy earlier, but with the Android 11 update, the software is at least speedy. It's fast to, respond, but then again, not a very amazing UI, so you have to keep that in mind, and you're going to face a lot of bugs. The company still doesn't have its software strategy very clear, and the software has a lot of bugs. So you need to keep that in mind. Now let's move on to the display of the phone. The display is 60 Hz. It does have a 180 Hz response rate, but the display is still a mere 60 Hz, which in my opinion is pretty slow and does make you feel like your phone is a little laggy when compared to other phones like Realme phones, right? So you are going to feel a little bit of slowness there, but don't you worry, the screen quality is actually very nice. The white balance is actually very nice, and so is the brightness. So with the peak brightness and the general color accuracy being really nice, I think this is a very beautiful screen and can do wonders. The only problem I do have with it is it does flicker sometimes when you're watching videos on YouTube on medium brightness, and you are going to see those flickers. So I don't know what is the reason, but it has been about a year since I bought this phone. It has still not been fixed. Now we have the display out of the way. Let's talk about the camera. Right? So surprisingly, in a lot of phones, the main camera is the highlight, right? The main 48 megapixel camera that this phone has is supposed to be the highlight. But the thing is, the wide angle lens that this phone has is the highlight of the show, right? The wide angle lens is actually very nice, and it takes some amazing shots, amazing dynamic range. I really love snapping from the wide angle lens. The main lens is lackluster because it has not been used to its full potential due to the lack of software, right? So the software part is really bad when it comes to iQOO, right? But there is a video that I did make on Gcam, you can have a look above, and that's really nice. You can put Gcam there and it would work really well. Other than that, the macro lens is good enough, but I don't really know who actually uses macro lens all that much, right? The telephoto, again, nice, but the quality is not as good as the wide angle lens. The wide angle lens, in my opinion, is one of the best, right? When it comes to the front selfie camera, the camera is actually pretty small. As you can see, the punch hole is very small, but it works pretty well. I won't say it's the best in class, but it works well. For the price it's asking, it works very well. Now let's talk about the performance of the phone. The performance part is where this phone really shines. Here the phone is absolutely amazing and beautiful. I'll be honest with you, really works well. Why? Because it has Snapdragon 865, it has 8GB LPDDR5 RAM, it has UFS 3.1 storage, right? Now all of those things combined, the performance will be very nice. So your gaming experience is going to be really good, right? But then again, the software kind of puts it back. Because the software is laggy, you can't really get everything out of the phone when it comes to performance. Now since we have talked about performance, let's move on to gaming. The gaming on here is very nice. But if you're a game streamer, you're in for a trouble because there is an audio delay bug which is still not fixed by the company. Yes, the company takes a lot of times to fix bugs. Other than that, the gaming is smooth and spontaneous, and since we are talking about gaming, these monster touch buttons are a blessing from the heaven in FPS games. Mostly I play FPS games, so I can tell you about FPS games. This trigger, they're nice, they're snappy, they're good when they work. So that is the issue. The sensitivity of this phone and these monster touch buttons hasn't been set all that well. So yes, there is an issue there and you might have some problems sometimes, but most of the cases the monster touch buttons work really well. So there's no complaint about that. But then again, it all boils down to the software issue, right? Talking about software, let's talk about the rooting and bootloader unlock compatibility. What am I even saying? Bootloader unlock compatibility. So bootloader unlock compatibility is where this phone will not shine at all because the company has refused to allow users to unlock the bootloader or root the phone. So you have no other option than using your iQOO UI. Now that we have talked about the company, let's talk about the service centers and the customer support. The customer support and service centers are both pathetic, to be very honest. They are not all that great, they don't help you, and most of the time they just send you the same responses. A lot of users have gone to the service centers with the problems with their Android 11 update, and the company has done one thing. The company has downgraded their software versions to Android 10 and the users have lost all their data, which I don't think is a good thing to do. Your solution should not be deleting your users' whole data. But then again, who can help it, right? Now that we have this covered, what is my verdict? Should you buy it or not? And are there anything remaining to know about this phone? There are things remaining to know about this phone, right? Which you will not hear anywhere but here. Since I am a user of the phone, there are two things that I would love to point out that are actually very nice with this phone, and one thing that I feel is very, very idiotic. The two things that are very nice with phone, this headphone jack is paired with a DAC, and the quality is absolutely amazing. It's even better if you use its inbuilt iQOO's music app, because that will bring out so much amazingness in your songs that it's crazy. So yes, the headphone jack is amazing, the DAC is beautiful. Try to use it with the iQOO's music app and you will enjoy, right? Another thing that I really love about this phone is the vibration motor, the haptic feedback. Now, not a lot of channels have talked about this, but this has a feature known as whereas your ringtone, whatever system ringtones you have, the vibration follows the beats or the rhythm of the ringtones. And that's really interesting. It just shows how progressed this motor is for the haptic feedback. But then again, it has not been used to its full capability. But there is a room for improvement in the future since the motor is of a good quality. One thing I found idiotic, it has UFS 3.1 storage, but the jack is just second generation. So you're not going to get all the full speeds of a Type-C 3.1 storage. I mean the UFS 3.1 storage and a fully powered latest generation Type-C jack. You're not going to get all the benefits from it because the PC to phone and phone to PC transfers are really slow. But if you actually try to do anything like create a file or open a zip file in the phone, it's really blazing fast. So in editing apps, you will have a little edge because of that storage, right? Another thing that I really want to mention is you can't sustain a lot of apps. The RAM cleaner is very crazy. And I want to put it this way because there are a lot of times that I haven't received my WhatsApp messages because the memory has already been cleaned and WhatsApp has been kicked out and turned off. Like I used to use 60 was old, but now WhatsApp never got killed off. So yeah, in this you have to allow your battery, background battery usage by going into the settings so that your apps remain in the memory which you really need them to be, right? So my final verdict for you to buy this phone in 2021 would be do it at your own risk, or if you have a budget constraint but would love to buy flagship hardware. Otherwise, there are better options if you can increase your budget, because at the end of the day, for those who want an all-rounder, this would not serve your purpose because the software really lacks any luster. But if you're a hardcore gamer, you're a hardware junkie, or you really need flagship hardware in like really low budget, this is your choice, guys. This is genuinely your choice for all these three things, right? But if you can stretch your budget, I would suggest go for something like Realme X50 Pro because it would give you an all-round performance, all-round benefit, right? But then again, if you want the maximum hardware for the minimum money, this is it, right? There's nothing better than this. That's all for this video, guys. If you did like the video, please like, share and subscribe. This is Room Guruji signing off. Bye-bye.